Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I wanted to come in here real quick to talk to you guys about something that I saw online. And every now and then I'll notice some things that I see, and for some reason I just go into Uncle Boyce mode. And sometimes people would say, "Well, this doesn't relate to finance. You know, you're a financial guy, you're a finance professor. Why are you talking about this?" And the reality is that a lot of things, believe it or not, there are a lot of things that relate directly to wealth that you don't think actually relate to wealth. And one area that relates to wealth very deeply on a really significant level that people don't understand is who you choose to spend your time with, relationships, who you date. If you are dating the wrong people, then it will significantly affect your bank account. On the other hand, if you are choosing the right people in your life, then it will positively impact your bank account. In fact, give me a yes or no in the chat. Give me a yes or no if you've ever dated somebody that drained you emotionally, somebody that drained you physically, somebody that drained you financially. Has anybody ever been in a situation that was draining in every single way? Give me a yes or no in the chat if you've ever had a draining relationship. And if you have, then I say join the club. I say join the club because we all have. You know, we've all dated somebody that we shouldn't have been with. In fact, sometimes I think about maybe women I chose before I met my beautiful wife, and and I'm almost embarrassed by it. You know, I look back and I say, "Oh my God, what was I thinking?" Right? And it's interesting because when we're younger, we don't understand how these things do affect your life. If you talk strictly about money, remember I told you guys one of the biggest lessons I've given you guys about money is that most of the time money has nothing to do with wealth. All right, so scratch that. Wealth has nothing to do with money. That's what I meant to say. Let's flip that around. Money is always wealth, but wealth isn't always money. In fact, wealth is usually not money. Cash is one type of wealth, but cash is a small percentage of the actual wealth that exists in your life. And one of the things I've noticed through the years is that when we don't think about these things, it ends up hurting you. You end up being hurt. You end up losing a lot of your wealth, and you lose some things that are more valuable than money. You know, you might lose, I don't know, your virginity. You might lose your peace of mind. You might lose your your friendships. You might lose your youth, right? So there are things that you can lose in a bad relationship that are more valuable than money. Give me a yes in the chat if you agree with this and you understand where I'm coming from. And I want to lay out this context because I this answers that simple question that people always ask me when they say, well, why are you talking about health, or why are you talking about relationships? Well, it's because I understand that health is wealth. A lot of people lose their health chasing wealth, and then they lose all their wealth trying to get their health back. They have to give all their money back to the pharmaceutical companies who are going to give them a bunch of drugs to keep them long enough, keep them alive just long enough so they can take all their money, right? So health isn't just wealth. Health is more important than wealth. Also, relationships are a significant part of your wealth journey because if you don't believe that relationships and wealth are connected, then go ask some guy who has four babies mamas that's draining every penny out of his bank account before he can get around to buying anything for himself. Does anybody know anybody like that? Anybody know anybody that's got so many babies mamas he can't keep count of them? Does anybody know any single mothers who are struggling to pay the bills? You know, who got two, three baby daddies, ain't worth a nickel because she was choosing men based on swag and not their actual productive capability, but she was choosing them based on maybe penis size or how good they looked or how romantic they were. And next thing you know, you got, a bunch of kids with a bunch of really nice, handsome men who ain't worth a damn nickel. I've seen this. I've seen this in real life. So I have to lay that context out so that people understand why a finance PhD would be talking about relationships. I talk about relationships, because this is probably a bigger determinant of your economic outcomes than your economic training. In fact, literally, the quality of your relationships has a greater impact on your economic outcomes than your actual training. You don't believe me? Well, just go look at the Kardashians. Simply by being born as a Kardashian means that you're probably going to be a millionaire just because you're a Kardashian. You marry into that family, is assuming they don't drive you crazy. You're probably going to end up being wealthy because they know how to make money. And being around people that know how to make money means you're likely to have some. And also being around people who know how to lose money, well, those people are going to drain you financially. You're going to lose everything. So I wanted to bring this up. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, thumbs up. Share, make sure you subscribe to this channel. This is an independent Black wealth platform, so we're trying to reach as many people as possible. We got to reach a million Black people a week. We'd like to reach more, so we could use your help on that journey. So let me share this with you, because I'm gonna actually go upstairs and hang out with my wife a little bit tonight, because I want to focus on that relationship. So this is what got my attention. So there's this post on this page that I just happened to start following because they were following me, and it was red pill awareness. And here's what they said. And they put this post up, and they said, I screenshotted it literally off my phone, and it said, some women will never see you as alpha, no matter how much money you make or no matter what period. Okay. And that's interesting. I do agree with that. I mean, this whole concept of what it means to be an alpha versus a beta male and all that. I think people, unfortunately, honestly, I believe they have it a little bit twisted. I think alpha means first. Sometimes should be first, sometimes not. I also even think about the guys that I know who were cheering on Deion Sanders for leaving Jackson State, so that he could go be a part of a white built institution instead of building a Black institution. Well, that's not really an alpha move to me, because alpha means first. Alpha means you're the originator, not the imitator. Alpha, a beta move is when you're following behind what white men do. So one aspect of being an alpha, if that's what you think you are, is, have you ever created something and built something? Did you build a family business that becomes a legacy for the next 10 generations? Did you go out and support Black owned institutions where they're the alpha of their industry? Are you an alpha in the sense that you are going to take the lead and do things for your community that other people aren't doing? Or are you just following up behind the white man? So again, everybody has their own definition of what alpha means. But I'm going to say that I always saw Deion Sanders as an alpha, but I don't think his move to University of Colorado was an alpha move. Not because I disrespect Deion, I like the guy, but to me, it's an absolute beta move. If you say, "Well, I'm too scared to go build my own institution. I need to be connected to what the white man's doing." Well, if you're connected to what the white man's doing, then he's the alpha and you're the beta. You're following behind what he already built. You're not building your own. And so ultimately, if you want to get into that whole debate about alpha males and all this stuff, a lot of the guys running around here talking about their alpha males aren't really alphas. They're just selfish assholes. There's a difference between being a selfish asshole and being a true leader, right? And in fact, I don't even like to use that term alpha. I'd rather just say leader. Are you a leader? Are you a person who is not afraid to go in your own direction, even if everybody else is going the other direction? Well, that's pretty alpha. People that follow the crowd, if you're just saying what everybody else is saying and going along with what the crowd is doing, well, that makes you pretty beta. That's not an alpha move. Just in case you want to get an OG definition of what I perceive as alpha. Alpha means first. That means you're the originator. You're not afraid to go into territory that other people aren't going into. And so for those of you that are doing that, I respect you. I respect you immensely, because I know it takes courage and strength to do that. So let's move on. I don't mean to make this all about Deion Sanders, and I'm not dissing Deion, but I'm just saying that I did not see his move to Colorado as an alpha move. I saw it more as a safety move. Like, okay, I'm going to go over here with what the white man's built, because that I can safely get my money this way, as opposed to doing it the hard way, which would be to get my money by building something amazing and extraordinary in Jacksonville, which could make me 10 times more money. I'm going to go over here where I can be his employee. He's going to tell me what to do. He is my boss. That way he is the alpha, I'm the beta, and that way I'm on a winning team. That's what I see. That's just my honest to God truth. No diss to anybody else, but it's just a fact. Okay, so let's move on here. So they put this post up about being seen as an alpha, and this is on this platform called Red Pill Awareness. It's a good platform. I mean, it's interesting stuff, right? I like to hear different perspectives. And I saw this post, and they said some women will never see you as alpha, no matter how much money you make or no matter what period. So I thought, that's interesting. Okay. So then there was this post they wrote up, and they said, women don't want a good man until they are damaged. Good guys are never an option until a woman is tired of being played, until she has kids with a guy that doesn't want anything to do with her, until she's getting old, until she wants a stepfather for her child, until she wants a husband. Early in life, most women choose the wrong guys, and then after those guys spit them out, now they want a good man. The same good man they thought was boring, the same good man they didn't want to talk to. Understand something. The whole phase is real. If a woman is still going through that, you as a good man will never touch her. You will only touch her after that. And it can be after, and that can be 10 years later. Good guys deal with damaged women. Bad guys get the best years. Good guys deal with women with insecurities, women with trauma, women with anger, women with babies. Now, that's an interesting statement. That's a heavy, heavy, heavy statement. Okay, so I want to ask y'all this question. The person that wrote that, do you think that, give me a yes or no. The person that wrote that, do they sound bitter at all? Like, do you think that they've been kind of hurt? Maybe they were speaking from some experience, maybe some frustration. Give me a yes or no in the chat if you feel like there was some frustration. And actually, Herb Delights, that's not true about Jackson State not paying Dion. That was all proven to be wrong. Even Dion never said it. They just took an excerpt from something where he was using another example. He wasn't talking about Jackson State. Just so you know. So let's not dog out Jackson State. You know, let's support Dion wherever he does. But anyway, give me a yes or no. Does he sound bitter? The person who wrote that statement. Okay. He sounds like he's been through some stuff, right? He sounds like he's seen some things that have hurt his feelings, and he sounded like he was a little bit frustrated. And I understand it. I get it. We've all been frustrated. Everybody's been hurt. Everybody's been mistreated at some point. Everybody's gone through some BS that just made them angry. And in the Black community, it's really tough because there's a lot of trauma to go around, and we re-traumatize each other. A lot of Black women don't have daddies. I believe that missing daddies does have a huge role in the way relationship choices are made. And just the same way, if we all were missing our mamas, if all Black men, if 76% of all Black men didn't have a mama, would we or would we not be affected by that? Give me a yes or no. Imagine if you live in a country where 76% of all Black men didn't live with their mama. Let's say that some of them saw their mamas once a month, some of them saw their mamas once a week, some of them never saw their mama. They hadn't seen their mama since they were 4. Do you think? Give me a yes or no. Do you think that would affect the dating pool for Black people, for African Americans? Give me a yes or no. Give me a yes. Come on, answer me now. Answer me. And y'all see where I'm going with this. Where I'm going with this is that there is a lot of confusion. There's a lot of pain and agony that happens because, missing fathers makes a difference, man. Like, y'all act like fathers don't matter. Like, oh, well, I didn't have no daddy. Everything's fine with me. No, daddies matter, just like mamas matter. Daddies make a difference. I make a difference for my girls. You can't tell me that me being in the house with my girls, I'm their bonus dad, by the way, but you can't tell me I'm not their father. They have a biological father, and then they got boys. They got a voice. And having a voice in your life makes a difference because I, as a man, I'm going to make sure it makes a difference. I'm going to be damn sure it makes a big difference, right? So no, having a voice makes a difference for them. So here's what I'm getting at. Here's what I'm getting at. I'm saying this to you. The person who wrote that post, yes, he's probably bitter and probably for good reason, right? Also, give me a yes or no if you know women who fit the description that he laid out. Give me a yes or no. Do you know women who, when they're young, go chasing after the bad boys? Give me a yes or no if you know women like that, or if you were that woman. Chase after the bad boys, chase after the thugs. They want the street dudes, and then maybe they eventually say weird things like, I want a corporate thug. I used to hear that. I remember hearing women say, I want to get me a corporate thug. That means he going to be the guy that's going to put on the suit and go to the office, but he might, if you get out of line, he might knock you out and shoot you or whatever. I'm like, I don't want to be a thug. Like, what is it about being a damn thug that is so appealing? I have no desire to be a thug. I want to be like a mathematician. Why the fuck can't being a mathematician be cool? Why I gotta be an inch away from the penitentiary to impress you? I'm not going to jail for nobody. I'm definitely not going to jail to impress some insecure woman who learned how to pick her men from watching rap videos. I'm not doing that. And I'm gonna tell you this, shout out to my wife. My wife, she never ever enjoyed being around the thugs. There's not a single thug in her whole track record. Believe me, I've known her a long time. We were friends a long time before we got together. And I knew the guys she dated, and she never dated a thug. She dated smart men. Her ex-husband, I know this man. We raised children together. He is a very smart man. So every woman ain't got to go date a guy that's on his way to the penitentiary for her to really get a chance to have a little bit of fun. That's an illusion created for you by media. They have thugmatized the Black man and made the Black man look like he is some sort of fucking animal So, and the women think that's appealing. You think it's appealing because you see this guy on TV and he's standing in front of 100,000 white people holding his nuts and calling himself the N word, and you think that's cool because women are naturally attracted to men who are wealthy and powerful, and they make these guys wealthy and powerful so that you'll be picking the wrong men. There's nothing about thug life. To be honest with you, R.I.P. Tupac, love Tupac, but ain't nothing about thug life that's going to lead to anything other than tremendous amounts of pain. I'm talking about watching your baby daddy get shot in the head, in the driver's seat of the car that you're riding in, or having to explain to your children why their father is going away to prison for the next 30 years. That ain't cute. Or dealing with a man who wants to be such a player, and he wants to be such an alpha that he don't want to ever commit to a family. So he's out here making babies with every lady on the block and abandoning you and your kids. Like, nothing is cute about that. Nothing. But unfortunately, young girls don't know that, especially if they never had a good daddy who showed them what a real strong, solid black man actually looks like. So what these guys are talking about makes it is true. I'm not going to sit here and say that he's wrong. Now, I am going to say he sounds like he's bitter because maybe these were the women he wanted. Maybe he was chasing the so-called hoes. Maybe that's what he's mad about. Like, I tried to get me a hoe and she wanted the bad guy. Well, maybe she wasn't for you. And let me just ask you this. So we talked earlier about where he is correct, right? That there are women who make mistakes in their dating choices when they're young. They do what Sierra did. She's in her 20s. She wants to date Future, and then she gets in her 30s and wakes up and decides to date a Russell Wilson. That makes, in the minds of some of these men, that makes Russell Wilson into a simp, and Future is a player. Like, Future's the smart one. He got her. He ruined her while she was young, gave her all her STDs and everything else. Whatever he's gonna do to her, broke her heart, embarrassed her, and everything else. And now she's running off to Russell Wilson, who's gonna go and take care of the baby the Future made and all that, right? So Russell Wilson's the simp. Future is the player. Okay, fine. There are women out there like that, no doubt about it. But give me a yes or no. And yes or no to this question: are there also men who do the same damn thing? Give me a yes or no. How many of y'all seen a man who is chasing after the big booty hoe with an IQ of 12 and ignoring a high quality, loyal, intelligent woman who would be ready to stand by his side until the day he dies? How many of y'all have seen that? How many of you? Let's just be honest. Let's be honest, right? I think accountability is important. Accountability, it probably offends about 75% of the black community. 75% of the community hates accountability. But let's flip that. Let's just flip that. How many of y'all, give me a yes or no. Come on, let's be honest. How many of y'all know men who will chase around a bitch who doesn't want them and will completely ignore a really loving woman who thinks the world of them? I know guys like that. I was a guy like that. I've done that myself. I've done that myself. When I was in my 20s, there were times where I was chasing around girls that didn't deserve me. They didn't deserve me, and they didn't even want me. Some of them, they didn't want me. So then you get mad, you get all bitter. You're all mad like, man, all these hoes wanted, they wanted the bad guys. Well, really what you're effectively saying is that they rejected you and you're upset about it. They rejected you for the bad boys, and now you're like, man, I should have just been a bad boy because then I could have got that hoe's attention because she only likes the bad boys. Well, I have a theory, and I hope it's okay if I go Uncle Boyce right quick. I hope you'll let me give me a yes if it's okay if I do an Uncle Boyce and lay out an Uncle Boyce theory on dating that I've observed through the years. And this is important because I told you guys, we talk about wealth a lot on this channel, but if you choose the wrong women, you will never have wealth. If you choose the wrong men, you will never have wealth because they're going to ruin everything you've ever built. So just understand, this is why I dive into these areas of relationships. And my wife is a relationship therapist. She's been doing this for 25 years. So this is why I go into this area every now and then, because sometimes I feel the need to just express it. God tells me to do it. I'm not scared to share it with anybody. So it is what it is. So here's what my theory is. My theory is that dating sometimes is a lot like looking for a job. And a lot of how you go about looking for a job depends on your self-esteem. Self-esteem is really the key to all of this. And let me explain why. When you're young and you're looking for a job, your self-esteem is not very high. You haven't done shit. You haven't accomplished anything. Nobody knows who you are. Nobody cares. You're not making very much money. You haven't risen up the corporate ladder. So you're just a squirrel trying to get a nut. You're trying to be associated with anything that will validate you, make you look professional, make you look like a solid candidate for your next role that allows you to say, look, mama, I made it. You're looking for something to validate you. You're looking for a label that is going to make you into something better than what you were before. So when you're 24 years old, you're out looking for your first job and you find a job. Let's say somebody says, well, you can come work at the White House. And you're like, oh, crap. If I work at the White House, then I'll be a big shot. I'll be somebody. I get to be associated with the White House. And let's say, though, unfortunately, even though you're working at the White House, it's the worst job ever. You're getting treated like crap. You're working long hours for low pay. You're being disrespected by your boss. You're stressed out to the point where your hair is falling out. You hate your life. You're damn near suicidal and depressed because you are so much under so much pressure. Okay. And then after a few years, though, you work hard, you work through it, you go through the abuse and you deal with it. And then later on in your career, when you're, say, 35 or 38, and you have a little more esteem, you have a little more professionalism in your background, you have some more credentials in your background. And then somebody says, hey, the White House has a job opening. Would you want to go back and work at the White House again? And you say, no, I don't want this job. Well, why would you do that? Well, because now you would say, no, I don't think I really want that job because I actually want a job that working for a place that actually values me. I don't really care about fancy titles. Or even high pay. I just need a job where I can spend more time with my kids. I don't really need, yeah, but if you go take this job, then you'll be a big shot. That's a hell of a career booster, man. That'll really make you look good. And then maybe by then you're kind of like, no, I kind of want to, I don't really need to be validated anymore. I already know that I am important. I just want a job where I have paid time off. I don't have to work on the weekends and I can actually have a good work-life balance. Well, what does that mean? What's the difference? Well, the difference is that, when you're talking about dating, I think some people date in the same way. When you have a low self esteem, you look for your partner to validate you. Dating that pretty girl with the big booty allows you to brag to your friends. Look at my girlfriend. Look at how good she looks. And that makes you feel better about yourself. And then you get older, you realize the importance of picking a woman that might still be cute, but she's going to treat you well. You're not thinking so much about what your friends think about your girl. You think about how you feel around that woman. And the same thing is true, I think, with men. I think that when we're younger, maybe for young women that don't have high self-esteem, maybe being with the thug or being with the captain of the football team or dating an NFL player or some rich guy, maybe that validates you. That makes you feel better. And then later on, when your self-esteem kind of goes up a little bit, you're able to walk away from those guys and actually value a man based on how he treats you, based on how you feel when you're with that man. You say, yeah, I could be dating a state senator, but I'd rather be with a man who loves me. And really, honestly, I think in general, for some people, this occurs through time. For some people, it occurs through age. When you kind of go through some bad experiences, you get kicked around by the world. And then finally, you learn to settle in and love yourself and pick people that truly deserve to be with you. You start to see yourself as the prize as opposed to seeing them as the prize. And that allows you to then have a little more discernment in terms of who you allow into your life, what type of energy you're willing to tolerate. Right. And that to me is a self-esteem thing. So for some people, it comes with age, but some people kind of have it from the very beginning. And this is where the missing daddy, I think, plays a huge part in the process. I think the missing daddy, for that poor little girl who never had a man who really could love her without trying to have sex with her, who's ultimately confused about men because her measuring sticks of men, unfortunately, in many cases, might be built on some sort of fantasy. Right? She's looking at men, comparing them to Chris Brown or her favorite rapper or something, and that's what she's fantasizing about because she didn't get a chance to wake up every day and see what a real man looks like. There are some women, unfortunately, they grow up in a household where there are no men, and they even get scared when they hear a man's voice. Even a man's deep voice is kind of jarring. I remember I had a friend like that. She said, I grew up in a house without men. So when I would go to my friend's house who had uncles in the house, I would hear their voices, and their deep voices would scare me. Ultimately, I think that plays a big part in why some of us make bad choices when we're younger. And so really my biggest piece of advice here to anybody that cares, anybody gives a shit. I'm not anybody's expert. Feel free to ignore every single thing that I've said. But here's my big takeaway on this. If you want to get into making good choices about who you have in your life, it all comes down to the ability to truly love yourself. If you love yourself, you will value yourself. And if you value yourself, you are not going to let any old raggedy ass person in your life. You're not going to let some old dusty ass man in your bed just because you think that thugs are sexy. You're not going to let some disease infected chick with a big booty come in and ruin your life, because you let your sexuality drive your decision making. You're not going to ruin your whole career because you're hanging around people who don't operate on the same vibration as you, who are going to literally turn your whole life into a train wreck. You're not gonna do what Sierra did and date a Future. You're not gonna date a guy like that. You're gonna say no, 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 no. I need me a Russell Wilson. Like, there are some women who can pick a Russell Wilson at the age of 21. They don't have to go through a nasty ass Future, some old raggedy ass piece of shit man who probably can't spell his mama's name, who got baby's mama splattered everywhere, had sex with over 1,000 women. You're gonna let that man in your body. Your body's your temple, and whatever that man puts inside of you is gonna stay there for life. Those cells and that nasty, those bodily fluids are gonna stay inside you for life, and that spiritual energy is gonna be there for good. And you're gonna carry this man's child. That's clearly a self-esteem issue. No disrespect, no disrespect, but that is a self-esteem issue. And guys like a Future, I'm gonna keep talking. Let's keep talking about Future. Guys like that, I think I understand that mindset. It's more of a pimping mindset. Pimps tend to unfortunately, the modern day black male pimp is a guy who, first of all, he probably grew up listening to music that consistently reminded him that women are not human and don't deserve respect. And also, he grew up in a world sort of thinking that it's either kill or be killed. Either you control and dominate them, or they're going to control and dominate you. In many cases, it's a man who was traumatized as a child, hurt by his mother on some level. I bet if you read about Future's background, there's probably something in there with drug addiction, maybe from one of his parents, some trauma as a kid. And also, it's a mindset that is built on a lot of highly addictive, instant gratification based behaviors that are not built on sort of planning for the future. So individuals like that don't make decisions from a long-term strategic standpoint. They don't look at their children and say, how am I protecting my legacy? They're not looking at women and saying, what are we going to build together? They're not looking at family and saying, oh, this is a wonderful opportunity. They're looking at at family as an unnecessary obligation that's going to keep them from being able to go out and get more vagina that night. So ultimately, I think I kind of have some understanding of that mindset. And clearly, individuals like that need lots of therapy, because they're in a lot of cases, and I've seen this, they ruin their lives. By the time they get about 45 years old, everything starts catching up with them. So that's when number one, you have some kids out here splattered everywhere. They hate your guts. Then next thing you know, they get an Instagram account and start talking shit about you. And then you realize you don't really have a legacy, and you're starting to get old. And then you start having health effects from all the fast living that you did through those years. That's why you see a lot of these rappers die before the age of 50. That's why Kevin Samuels died at 55 years old. And to be honest with you, he died alone. He died alone in the arms of a woman that he did not know, after spending all these years yelling at black women, telling them they were going to die alone. Well, unfortunately, Kevin Samuels died alone. He died alone because he didn't make a long-term plan to die in the arms of a woman that truly cared about him. He died in the arms of a woman who'd met him 24 hours before. So I'm just telling everybody, this is my 2 cents. I'm sorry. I have to be honest with this. Don't don't fall for the hype. Don't fall for the gender war. And what happens with a lot of men and women is that when people get older and they start seeing the consequences of their lives, that is when that man starts to look for the nice girl. But a lot of times it's after he's 48 years old and done had a stroke, because he's been drinking, smoking, and hoeing his whole life. Now he needs a woman to take care of him. Now he's ready to settle down. Whereas a smart strategic man would have said, okay, you know what? I could still be a player, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and settle down now, so that by the time I do hit older age, or things start to happen, I'll have somebody that's there, that's invested in me. Same thing is true with the women. The smart woman picks that good man when she can get one as soon as possible, starts to build that relationship, and next thing she's got a husband who's devoted to her, even when she's a little older, has gained a little bit of weight, and can't compete with the 25-year-olds anymore. She has a man who sat by her side for many years, who says, you know what, I'm committed to this woman. And she strategically picked the right man who understands the value of family. See, that's another thing too. It's very hard to get somebody to commit to the hard work it takes to maintain a family if they never saw one growing up. That's the honest to God truth. If you're talking about a man, like, marriage is hard, family is hard, raising kids is hard. And the main reason that I do it, the main reason I turn back to my wife whenever I get pissed off or I have a bad day, is because I saw my father do it for 48 years. I saw the rewards. I saw the long-term effects of what happens when you stick it out and you keep turning back to the person that you love, instead of going out into a world that's constantly telling you to do things the easy way. That's a culture, man. That's a value system. That's what makes me devoted to my wife. I mean, to be quite honest with you, I wish I could just show you all the little perks that come with being rich and pseudo famous. I'm not a celebrity. I don't consider myself a celebrity, but I'm probably a public figure. And believe me, when you're smart, rich, and well known, there's lots of things you could get into that could get you into a lot of trouble. But family is part of my DNA, because that's what I saw my daddy do. So I would say to ladies, look, if you're looking to decide what kind of man you want to spend your time with, look at what his daddy did. And if his daddy did something different, don't judge him by that per se, but try to figure out what happened, if there's anything that occurred that led him to say, I'm going to do something different from what my father did, or I'm ready to really do the work. Am I ready to go get therapy if necessary? Therapy for the family, therapy for myself. I love therapy. Therapy helps me to understand where my blind spots are, and so I really don't think that a person who's not reflective is going to see that. I think a person who never really saw structured family growing up is going to look at family as a burden. They're going to look at being married as like a ball and chain, as like a penitentiary. So that's my honest assessment. I'm not here to judge anybody per se, but maybe I probably sound judgmental sometimes when I talk. I can't help it. I can't help but to be honest. But I would just say this too, that all the guys on the internet that kind of have a lot of complaints about women. I'm not saying that they're wrong. I mean, you're right. There are a lot of immature women who will go around and who will date the bad boy until they get to their 30s, and then they want some nice guy that's gonna be willing to take care of their kids, and that's a strategy, right? That's something that some people do, and I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with it one way or the other. I mean, if you some guys like kids, like I admit it, call me a simp if you want to, but I think raising a black child is awesome. I feel like a father who abandons his kids and doesn't want to raise them, I say, man, you're missing a great opportunity, because having children that love you and honor you and respect you, let me tell you, bro, that works out real well for you when you get older. When you get older and you poured into other human beings that love you and honor you and respect you, those are going to be the people that help you when you get older and you got the family business and you need somebody to help you do the work. Those are the ones that are going to come see you when you get sick and you go to the hospital. Those are the ones who are going to check on you and make sure you're good when your old ass goes to the nursing home. So the question I ask anybody is this. This is the question I'm going to ask you, and then I'm going to let you guys go before I get on out of here. The question is this, and only you can answer this question for yourself. What is it in your life right now that you are investing in on a day-to-day basis? What are you investing in? What are you sacrificing for? What is it that you're giving up today that will benefit you long term? That's what investing is. It's making a short-term sacrifice for a long-term benefit. Let's go to 3 key areas. In your health, what sacrifices are you making right now in your health that are going to pay benefits for you later on? Are you getting up and going running every day? Are you going to the gym 3 times a week? Are you avoiding sugar? Did you stop eating meat? Like, what health sacrifices are you making now that are going to benefit you when you get older and the consequences come calling? If the answer is, if you can't answer that question, then you probably need to start asking that question of yourself, or you're going to find yourself like the other millions of black people who are getting their feet cut off from diabetes, who get their kidneys removed because they've been eating bullshit their whole life, who are going down from strokes and heart attacks every single day. It's happening. It's real. It's very, very real. I'm watching it. I'm watching my family. Cancer everywhere. It happens. Next question. What sacrifices are you making wealth wise, in terms of wealth, that are going to have long-term benefits? Are you investing regularly? Are you at least saving your money? If the answer is no, then don't be surprised if you have financial problems later on down the line. That which you do not feed is not going to thrive. Things you don't feed can't live. Things you don't feed are destined to die. So if you're not investing in your economic security or your generational wealth legacy, then that legacy is going to be dead. It's not going to thrive. Next question, final question. What are you investing in the area of relationships? What sacrifices are you making now that are going to pay off 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now? Are you taking time to, take your talk to your daughter every day so she doesn't hate your guts and think that you were too busy working all the time? Are you, are you going fishing with your son once a month? Are you calling are you mentoring some kids that's going to look out for you? Are you investing in a woman so that when you get older and your old ass gets sick and goes to the hospital, she's going to be there to take care of you? Are you investing in a man, or are you just, going from man to man or woman to woman? I'm not judging it. I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm just telling you that when I look at older people, I study older people so I can understand what I want the next 25 years of my life to look like. And when I look at older people, all right, there we go. Taking time listening to financial lectures. That's a good answer, Shondell. The stuff that I share with you guys is not, it's not common knowledge. This is not stuff. I have a PhD in finance, so I know a lot of stuff about wealth and all this stuff. So I think you're listening, that's going to benefit you. But I'm gonna tell you, at the end of the day, you got to make investments, people. If you want your life to be what you want it to be, you got to make investments. And so just going back to this comment, about women and how they choose men. I don't even think the comment was wrong. I brought it up because I just wanted to make a point. But because there are women that make bad choices when it comes to men, and then they end up paying a big price for that. And I think the same thing is true for men also. And really, when you talk about that self-esteem piece, once my self-esteem rose up, once I started realizing the value of being Boyce Watkins, I stopped letting any kind of woman come into my life. If you weren't gonna match the energy, if you weren't gonna be a fit for what I had going on here, if you were gonna be a threat to undermining what I built and what I've worked for, oh, I don't care how cute you are, you're not coming near me. I don't care how pretty you are. I don't care what goodies you offering in the bedroom. You're getting nowhere near me, because I'm not gonna be a sucker and lose it all over a big butt and a smile. Big butts are nice, smiles are nice. They also come attached to wonderful women, and that's what I was looking for. And so my wife fit the bill, and that's why I chose to get married. So anyway, guys, I'm out of here. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon. If you want to learn more about wealth and investing or anything like that, I got some free stuff on my website, boycewatkins.com. So feel free to go there as well. And God bless you guys. I'll see you soon. Take care. Peace.